GM Crypto News Analysis here. It is February 12th, and before I get into this video, please read the description on my take on the shilling of the tokens and I'm not being paid to talk about any of them. So let's just get on with the price action of the majors really quick. So Bitcoin. So I was saying earlier that was a little bearish, and it was actually going to go down to maybe 94, 93K ish, and it actually did go down there to 94K, and that was earlier this day in the morning. But ever since that came out, it actually recovered really nicely, and we're tapping 98K again. So we're seeing a lot of strength in Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about why, but essentially there was some CPI data that was released, so the Consumer Price Index, and it's essentially a measure of inflation. Inflation increased by like 0.1% or something, and then the markets didn't like that. That's obviously bearish news for Bitcoin, because if there's more inflation, people have less money to buy risk on assets essentially, and it's not like fundamentally bearish for Bitcoin, but at least on a sentiment reason wise, it is bad. So that's why it dumped that hard. And with bearish data like that, you would expect it to go even lower to 91K, 80K range. But the fact that it actually held up this level really nicely just shows how strong it is. And you also have to realize, you zoom out on Bitcoin, it's been down only the last 2 weeks or so. And it's because of all of the tariff news fuckery from Trump. And the market, essentially, they're absorbing all these bad news, and they just don't care anymore that the bad news doesn't even affect them that much anymore. So we could actually see some squeeze higher as a result of that. I mean, assuming we close above the POC, I suppose, around 98K, 100K range, then we will absolutely tap above here, and then we could actually maybe try to test a rally above it. But so far, it's looking really nice for Bitcoin here, especially, and that's reflecting on a lot of the altcoins I'm going to show you guys a little later. So right now, I'm actually pretty bullish again. And that's not to say that it can't go down to 94K again to have this liquidation down here. It absolutely can. So don't shit your pants and open all your crazy longs yet, unless it started to close above the main middle point here. But for now, it's actually really looking good for Bitcoin, and especially with the liquidation heat map as well. So it was chilling around here. It tapped the 94K liquidity, and now it's up here. And we know that with current market conditions, well, it could try to break through this level here, but that's also not to say that it could try to test this 94K once again in the coming days. It's possible, but in any case, I would say that for now, Bitcoin looks really good. I can't really give you guys a good estimate of where I think the market's going to go in the short term. So I know I was right last time that it was going to go down, but the recovery this quickly, like this strong of recovery, I was actually not expecting. And I thought we would actually go down lower 90, 80K. But with this rate of how fast it recovered, well, most likely not at this point, but 94K is possible in the coming days, which means the alts will see a bit of pullback. But I'm going to show you guys what are the really strong ones. So the strongest ones are undoubtedly Solana AI. So look at ARK, for example. I don't have this, but I should have this, but ARK is extremely insane. It pretty much 3x on the bottom, even though Solana is at this choppy zone here. ARK is just going up only as if Solana's at 300. So absolutely insane. So this is one of the strongest AI infras. AI16Z is also pretty strong, but it's more of a bit of a relief bounce because it's been down only. So that could be a case, but it's also decently strong. And also, I'm also looking at this SNI coin. So out of all the infra coins, I'm looking at this one the most, and I'm trying to deploy some capital on this because I think it has probably one of the best upsides. I mean, especially ARK. I mean, I think if Bitcoin treats us well, ARK can easily go to 1 billion or so. But things like SNI, there's a lot more risk reward. Of course, it's riskier because it's smaller cap, but I was doing some research on this, and it's actually quite a good AI infrastructure project. So I was looking at this one, and price action is really strong as well in this market condition. So I'm looking at SNI in comparison to like ARK. You can look at this one as well, but I'm currently dollar cost averaging over the next couple of days on the SNI token, especially during these market conditions. But I like this one a lot in Solana AI. Solana AI is definitely focus right now. Ava's also decently strong here, most likely a bit of a recovery pump because it's been down only for so long. But also, if we look at Virtual's AI, So virtuals as a token, a bit of a bounce from the bottom. Nothing too insane to say yet, but Ray is probably one of the strongest ones without a doubt. So Ray bouncing pretty decently from the bottom, but Arc is definitely the strongest one. But Ray looks pretty nice. Acolyte looks pretty good. But basically, AI infra is still catching a shit ton of bids. A lot of the smaller tokens are just agents on their own, like Luna, for example. She's not really doing too hot because there's nothing that crazy about it. And even perhaps like I know I was talking about Trust Me Bros. This one also not really catching as many bids as infra. So infra is probably the focus. Game in comparison, I would say Ray is stronger, but game, it's more of a gaming AI narrative, and there's not a gaming narrative right now, which is why these gaming tokens aren't really too hot right now. One of the best on Solana is Realis, and this is a really good project, but because of market conditions, it's down here, and it also doesn't have that narrative. I think this project is really good, by the way. But if we look at the meme coins in comparison, so Popcat is actually breaking out from its zone here. I mean, if it starts going above like 400 mil, yeah, this is going to go much higher. And what it actually means for the cat coins on Solana is that they're going to go much higher as well. So like Glorup or Shadakiat. So I was looking at these ones as well. These are most likely going to follow Popcats, but they're not going to go as high as Popcat at first, but assuming we get really good price action, they will go a lot higher. But we'll see what's going to happen. Currently, AI is the focus. They are the strongest. And if we also look at base memes, so KeyCat pretty much doing a slight bit of an uptrend, so could be quite nice for this. And also the other ones like Toshi and Bancho. So there's some other ones like Mochi, for example. So I'll show you guys what happened with Mochi, but essentially almost a 2x from the bottom, even in just marketing condition. And it's because Coinbase was shilling base memes again. So we could see some listings on base memes again. Maybe they're going to do Mochi. I don't know. This is a bit of a beta to Toshi, but I'll show you guys. So let's look at this. Cook it up on dashboard. Market cap wise going a bit higher on AI. I'll still say AI on Solana is probably the best sector compared to base AI. It was base AI, but now it's Solana AI that is absolutely just wrecking faces right now. So I look at SNI and ARC, for example, the most on Solana AI. I think those are the strongest projects, but you do your own research as well into these things. But let's look at the tweets here. So briefly, CPI. Well, the CPI data was a little bit higher, like 0.1%. Is it really that big of a deal? But people essentially shit their pants in the market because, as I was saying earlier, higher inflation means less appetite for risk on assets like Bitcoin. So that's why people dumped it. But it recovered quite nicely because, as I said, well, the market was like, okay, well, this is actually maybe not the worst thing in the world because we've been getting fucked by Trump. So he just started to correct a bit. But let's look at the next tweet. This is the sign basically up. Stay tuned for more base memes. Yeah, so base was shilling Mochi token, which is why it's up 2x from the lows. And this could mean maybe they're trying to list it. We know that they like the Toshi one, so it could make sense that they're just going to list the beta as well, which is Mochi. So Mochi could go having some sort of a run similar to Toshi as well, where Toshi pretty much did a insane 30x from the bottom. Maybe Mochi will do that again, but I don't think it will go like as hard as Toshi because obviously there's a beta to it, so there's only so much liquidity that can go around. But that's going to be really good for base memes when that happens. So let's look at the next tweet. Make communism great again, milady. Yeah, Vitalik Buterin, he keeps fucking up the view of ETH. So I don't know what the hell he's doing with this, but everyone is essentially like, bro, like what is he doing? Look at this tweet. ETH is cooked because Ethereum literally doesn't care about the price of the token. I've been saying this for over a year now. Your mistake is you think Vitalik is joking, but this is a guy that showed up as a furry to rainbow decorated ETH Denver where masks were handed out. Yeah, like this is not good for ETH, by the way, but I think because of all this weird attention that inversely, like everyone is hating on ETH, and it's become a consensus at this point to just shit on ETH, that the market's just going to do a fuck you and say, okay, well, whatever, I'm just going to pump anyways, because that's what the market likes to do. Whenever a consensus is something, like if everyone's bearish on a token, okay, now that token is going to go bullish. If a token's super bullish, everyone's super bullish on it, that token's going to dump. Like there's always this inverse opposite effect. And I think this actually, Vitalik doing all this crazy shit for ETH brings attention to Ethereum. And I think it's actually bullish for it, even though everyone thinks it's so bearish, because it's just funny, honestly, that Ethereum is just this one odd ones out token. And like if you look at Ethereum, it's just okay, actually it's starting to trend up a little bit, so that could be quite good. But if you look at it, it's probably one of the most cursed crypto tokens in the world. So ever since it did this insane run up like this, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Ethereum's so awesome. Well, why is it still only like this in this bull market? When if you look at Solana in comparison, Solana just looks way, way better. Like, okay, actually, Solana's doing a weird double top here. People can argue that this is going to go even lower, but I think this could have maybe another leg, 2-3x perhaps. But Bitcoin obviously is the strongest one out of all of them. So nothing else to say. But let's look at the last tweet. CZ single-handedly 10x interest in bridging into BSC in under a week. The appetizer, the unplanned TSD drop. The main course, the pretend noob questions and tease about his dog. The dessert yet to be served. Game recognizes game. Yeah, so there was CZ, the Binance co-founder, essentially making some Binance magics. I don't know. People are bridging onto Binance to ape the Binance meme coins. And does this mean that Binance is going to be the next big chain? I don't think so. I think this is actually similar to what happened with the Tron chain back then of Justin Sun, where some like the Sundog tokens were running a bit. I think it's just the market's so bored right now that they're just trying to have these little niche narratives because people, they need something to ape into. So this probably could be a reason why for it. I don't think it's going to be long lasting. If anything, it's short term. So it's going to probably last for next few weeks or so. If not even that, maybe next few days. That's my own opinion. And then I think attention is going to shift back into AI on Solana and perhaps even virtuals, because virtuals getting listed on Solana, getting more liquidity is actually super, super nice. We've seen some runners so far with the Solana virtuals tokens. So I think that's very good in the midterm at least. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. So what I would say to focus on, still focus on AI. A lot of the tokens have already pumped because of this large impulse after the huge dump because of CPI data. But again, this extremely bullish for Bitcoin because there's all these crazy news coming out about it that Bitcoin doesn't even care anymore, the price action, and doesn't really want to go lower, which is actually a really bullish sign that Bitcoin, okay, maybe it's not actually going to tap the lower 80s, 90s anymore. Like for that to happen, there has to be a huge black swan event at this point. But the market's just been getting hit with black swans left and right that they're just getting used to it. So they just want to squeeze higher and higher. Bitcoin just wants to go higher and higher. So this is actually really good for altcoins. And as you guys can see, the hardest bounces were, okay, Pobcat on Solana is an exception, but that's because it's getting listing. People are trying to front run that. And I think it will actually run a bit because of that listing. So cat memes and Solana, very, very good options, but base memes as well. But AI is still the focus, AI infrastructure. And I would say, like, look at ARK, AXZ, and SNI on Solana. That's what I would recommend personally. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say in this video. You don't have to spend all your money at once, especially since we've gone up this much. I don't think that Bitcoin will completely shoot up through the resistance zone and then go to the range highs in the next few days. It's probably going to go sideways here a bit. I'm more biased, maybe a sideways downward chop before we see I try to retest for the highs again. So that gives the opportunity to get the dollar cost average and not really expect anything super crazy, especially since we're going into the weekend in the next few days. So dollar cost average has never really killed anyone, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, and I'll see you guys.